The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Here's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove podcast. We're talking Major League Baseball magic numbers. We also got NFL picks for this week and some college football thoughts. That's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove podcast.
From Belly Up Sports and the Belly Up Podcast Network, you're listening to the Sports Stove podcast with your host, Vince Stover.
Hey, good looking, what you got cooking? How's about cooking something up in me?
Welcome in to an all-new edition of the Sports Stove podcast presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Join the flavor revolution at righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code STOVE15. You're going to get 15% off your purchase. Welcome into a beautiful Wednesday evening for Brewers fans. I'm your host, Vince Stover, joined by my dad, Dale Stover. Dad, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. Made it through the weekend. Just another old boring day of the NFL, but we were able to survive that. So it's really been exciting. And, of course, baseball, everything's getting exciting right now. So a lot to talk about tonight.
Yeah, you're right. A wild NFL weekend for sure. We will discuss it. But first, we're going to start with the Major League Baseball. We're going to talk magic numbers. But before we get to magic numbers, let's just get it on. The Milwaukee Brewers, 2 times in a row now, win the NL Central. And all thanks to Craig Counsell the last 2 years. Craig Counsell, the bum that he is, loses to the Oakland Athletics today, clinching the National League Central for the Milwaukee Brewers. And I have to say, it is a wonderful cherry on top to the season that the Brewers have had this year to have Craig Counsell losing as the reason why the Brewers are locked in to the NL Central win. And they can get blown out tonight by the Phillies if they want to. They're losing right now, but by a run. But still, doesn't matter. We got the NL Central, and no one can take that from us there as well. So that's exciting times as a Brewers fan. I did not see that coming. I did not call it coming into the year. I thought I said Milwaukee had the offense. They needed the pitching to step up. And if they did, then they could definitely be in the running for the division. But I really thought the Cubs or the Reds would step up this year. Neither one of them did. Milwaukee did. And a fun season so far, but it's not over just yet. So nonetheless, Dad, there's other things going on in the baseball world too. Magic numbers are a thing now. So we're looking at some different things. The Yankees coming into today, where magic number was 1 for them to make the playoffs, to clinch a playoff spot. So it's not the division, but to clinch a playoff spot. The Phillies magic number is 1 to clinch a playoff spot. The Guardians magic number is at 2. The Dodgers is at 3. Baltimore is at 6 for their magic number to make the playoffs coming into this year. And then, Dad, a really intriguing thought. The New York baseball Mets, they currently hold the tiebreaker over Atlanta, and they have clinched the tiebreaker over Arizona and San Diego. So if we get down to it, and the Mets are tied with someone going into that last wild card spot, Atlanta could still take it from them, but currently they have it over Atlanta, and they've clinched it over San Diego and Arizona as well. So how about those New York baseball Mets? Only they're right there now in the wild card race.
Yeah, that's really surprising. And, of course, that sets everything up for the Subway Series for the World Series. But don't think that will happen, but you never know. So Mets have been surprising. Boy, they've really turned it around. And, it looks to me like there's a good chance they'll make playoffs. But, again, it's nothing set. There's enough time left here that things could get very, very interesting before it's all done. But, boy, they're in great shape right now.
Yeah, there are 2 games over Atlanta at the moment in the wild card race. They're the 3rd spot in the wild card, half a game behind the Diamondbacks and 2.5 behind San Diego. So, it's going to be interesting to see. I still think the Braves are the better team, but they are so beat up right now. Maybe they do fall off here and New York's got some talent, right? I mean, they got the Pete Alonsos and the Lindors. They've got some pitching as well that has pitched a lot better as of late too. So, intrigued to see how that one goes. In the American League, there is distance now between the Yankees and the Orioles. Looks like the Yankees are starting to take control of the division. The Orioles will still make the playoffs. Not really concerned about that. Royals are still in the wild card hunt right now. The Twins and the Tigers are fighting for the last spot. Twins currently a game and a half up on Detroit. Dad, me and Kevin talked about this on Sunday. How do you feel about the battle between Minnesota and Detroit there for the last wild card spot?
Well, we talked last week. I was surprised to see Detroit up there. So to me, Minnesota has been, a playoff team here most of the year. But I don't know that much about the schedules that are left. I'm sure they may still have to play each other, at least a series. It would be interesting. It'd be really exciting for Tiger fans to be in the playoffs. I don't think you talk about Milwaukee. I don't think anybody saw the Tigers coming either, even though there was a little talk at the first of the year that they might be better this year. But, I think Minnesota has the team that can get into playoffs, but that should still be interesting.
So the Tigers, they've got a 3-game series against Baltimore starting on Friday. And then they play Tampa Bay, that's in Detroit, and they close the season with the White Sox. So really all they got to do is survive Baltimore. If they can somehow get 2 out of 3 at Baltimore, I think it's a playoff team. Now, Minnesota, their schedule is a little bit tougher. I'm going to pull that up real quick here. They're wrapping up a series right now with the Guardians, and they are beating them currently. They've got another one tomorrow, I guess, against the Guardians. They go to Boston. They're home against Miami, and then they close out at home against Baltimore. So a little tougher with Boston and Baltimore than Detroit, but you got to play your best baseball. Carlos Correa just came back from Minnesota, so maybe that's what they needed. We'll see. We'll see for sure. So the baseball playoffs, we're winding down. We're down to 3 series left for these teams. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how it all shakes down as well. And I just saw this. I did not see this earlier. Craig Kimbrell has been DFA'd from Baltimore. That's crazy. The reliever. So he's gone. That's pretty wild. I almost picked him up this week in fantasy baseball. I didn't. All right, very good. All right, so that's it for baseball for now. Me and Kevin will be back, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday to wrap up the fantasy baseball season. And, of course, me and Dad will talk about the Major League Baseball as well in the days to come. All right, let's get into the NFL, Dad, because I was wrong, and I've got no problem with it. I said there's no way the Packers win a game with Malik Willis at quarterback. Now, I also didn't see the Packers getting 3 interceptions and running the ball for 167 yards in the first stinking quarter, but they did. And like I said, I've got no problem with being wrong on this one. Happy the Packers won. If their defense and their run game can play anything like that in the days ahead, they'll have no problem, even though it looks like Jordan Love will be back this week. But thoughts on that Packers-Colts game?
Yeah, that was a great effort. It seems like, quite the game plan there in a lot of ways, even to be able to run the ball that much. Of course, we knew Jacobs could be good. The offensive line played well. But the key for the Packers really is going to be the defense. They've stepped up. They've given us some rushing yards, but boy, they almost have as many interceptions in 2 games as they had all year last year. So they're playing much better if they can stay healthy. A lot of people didn't practice today, but the coach said that was because when you rush 52 times, people get beat up a little bit there. It will be interesting to see if Jordan Love plays this week. It looks like it's definitely definite possibility, no doubt about it. Last week, a lot of the media, even the Packer media, were saying, this was just all a smokescreen that, maybe he'll play or whatever. But it turns out he was a lot closer than what everybody thought. But, you got to give Malik Willis credit. He did not lose the game, did not turn the ball over. They said they was able to run most of the game plan they tried to put in there. And so I think it's a very positive game for him. And I think it does give the Packers a little more confidence that they do have a backup. And I do think if Jordan Love starts playing again this week, I think you might see the backup if the game gets, where it's safe, you have a guy that can come in, and Love doesn't have to play necessarily the whole game if the situation allows that. So we'll see.
Yeah, the offense was different though. It was a whole different offense for Malik Willis than it is for Jordan Love. It was not the same thing. I was listening to a lot of people this week and said a lot of counters, a lot of guards swinging out, a lot of things that just aren't standard right now for the Packers. So, obviously it's a shout out to Matt LaFleur. He did a great job of putting in a game plan that was going to work. And Malik Willis did his job, and Jacobs did his job. The defense did their job. The O-line did their job. We're celebrating a win over Indianapolis here this week. Thursday night, Dad, Tua Tagovailoa, concussion again. They put him on the IR. He cannot return till week 8. I have been the anti-Tua guy from day one, but I don't want to see the guy, get concussed out of the league. So that's a tough thing for Miami, though, right? I mean, they don't have a quarterback really in place that's you anticipate, being able to carry the Dolphins through the rest of the season.
No, they really don't. And but I do think Tua, that situation, he has to be careful now with where he's been. So we'll see how that goes down the line, for him to be able to stay healthy and be careful there. But yeah, it probably does change things for Miami, quite a bit. They do have a talented team around. Who will step in a quarterback this week?
Skylar Thompson, I believe.
Okay.
I think is who it is. There's talk of them signing somebody. I heard Cam Newton was visiting, but I mean, that doesn't make you feel any better. So yeah, Skylar Thompson's currently the guy there, and in line to start this week from Miami. Man, a lot of crazy games. Raiders take out the Ravens 26-23. What Brock Bowers is doing as a rookie tight end, and of course Devontae Adams had a great game as well, the veteran. But Brock Bowers has been so good to start the season. I don't care what anyone says. No one thought the Raiders were going to beat the Ravens this week, and they did. And so, what does that mean for the Raiders moving forward? I don't know. I kind of put this more on the Ravens than I do on giving credit to the Raiders personally. I don't know. Any thoughts on Raiders-Ravens?
Well, to me, the thing about the Raiders, and, they are devoid of skilled players and talent in certain areas. But again, I think they did a great job of keeping that coach. And the coach had everybody, I think bought in last year. And I think he can rally the troops some this year. Are they going to win a lot? No, probably not. I don't think they'll be the first draft pick necessarily. I think they could do a little better than that, and they may surprise and head toward the right direction for next year. But I don't know what happened with Baltimore. So, the couple good teams that lost, and I know you're going to talk about Niners here in a minute, same way. I mean, both those teams looked so good the first week, and just, it's almost like, what happened? I mean, so we'll see.
Yeah. Browns out slugfest the Jaguars. Jets only beat the Titans by a touchdown. Vikings come out and shock the 49ers. Yeah. I don't know what to make of that. Chargers, well, they took care of business in Carolina. Seahawks outduel the Patriots, win in overtime. Commanders get their first win on a field goal contest against the Giants. Baker takes down the Lions. The Cardinals dominate the Rams. The Steelers, outlast Denver 13-6. The Chiefs and Bengals was a great game. Texans Bears was closer than it needed to be. But I want to focus on the Saints and the Cowboys, because I look at this game and I was wrong. I said Saints first head coach to get fired. I thought this was just kind of the end all for the Saints. They bring in a new OC this year, and what he has done so far is just score buckets of points. And so the Saints win 44-19 over Dallas. Now, the way I see it is every year Dallas has these games. The games that they lose are usually games they shouldn't lose, and sometimes you get some really ugly performances from them. So I'm not surprised by the Cowboys necessarily here because they have those kind of things in them, but I am shocked by the Saints, Dad, and what they've been able to do. The first week was against Carolina, and we just assumed Carolina stinks. But Kamara comes in, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. Derek Carr, 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rashid Shaheed continues to perform well in New Orleans, 4 catches, 96 yards and a touchdown there. Kamara also had the receiving touchdown too. Defense played really, really good for the Saints, not good at all for the Cowboys. What do we make of the New Orleans Saints after 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're going to be very competitive, and it's funny that division may be a lot more competitive, than what we thought from there. I thought the weak spot, like you said, maybe was the coaching at New Orleans, but Kamara, we know when he's healthy, he's a game changer, and so he's doing well. I thought Derek Carr, would do well there and do well last year, and he didn't. So you thought, well, maybe his career, is winding down. But obviously, he has got ability. He's got Olave, to throw to there and some people. So if their defense can play, but like you said, it's not the defense. They're just scoring bukus of points, and the Cowboys, one of their strengths was supposed to be the defense. So, I think, you're right as far as sometimes the Cowboys lose a game like that. But we all know the Cowboys aren't going to be able to go on a big slide this year. Yeah. And the coach survived there. So no doubt about that. And, so we'll see. Now, their division is maybe not going to be real tough. I think Philadelphia will be good. Obviously, the Giants, it's arguable whether they're the worst team. Probably not, because probably Carolina's really in bad shape.
Yeah.
But, those two are right down there. They will fight it out for the first draft pick, I think. No doubt about that. But Saints will be fun to watch and see, are they really going to be competitive down the line?
All right, let's get into this week's games. We'll talk about some more things as we get into these games. We'll start with Thursday night. So every week, me and Dad pick 6 games. We pick all the primetime games, and then we'll pick some random games after that. So we're picking all 4 primetime games, and then 2 other games as well. 2 Monday night games this week. Kind of weird. But Thursday night, it's the Patriots at the Jets. Patriots have been impressive so far in some ways. Not in every way, but in some ways they have been competitive, and the Jets kind of looked bad week 1. Didn't look perfect this week, but again, we saw what they can do. This has always been a fun matchup. It seems like over the years with the Belichick rivalries and stuff. He's gone now, but we still got guys that hate each other. So Jets at home, 6-point favorites over New England. Who are you picking on Thursday night?
I'm going to pick New England. I like the coach. I like the energy there. And again, it's a big rivalry game going into New York. I don't know that the Jets really have everything together there. And again, I think things can come apart pretty quick. Again, the Jets probably should win, but I've just got a feeling I'm picking New England in this one.
All right. Yeah, I'll definitely go the Jets on this one. I do like some of the things New England is doing, but I just think the Jets are the better team, so I'll go with them this week. Sunday night football this week is the Chiefs going to Atlanta. If you looked at week 1, you'd probably easily go the Chiefs in this one. Atlanta looked better this past week. They are at home, but Kansas City, the 3.5-point favorites here. You going Chiefs or you going Falcons this week?
I'm going to go Chiefs with this one because they just really look strong so far. But this will be a big game for Atlanta. If they're at home, and this is a chance to kind of, for them to make quite a statement, but I'll go with the Chiefs on this one.
Yeah, losing Pacheco hurts Kansas City. Maybe more so than it would have in the past, but I'm going Kansas City also. Ultimately, I just think that they're still the better team. Patrick Mahomes in a dome, I don't know. I feel like I got to go with the Chiefs, but we'll see. This can say a lot about the Falcons this week. Even if they lose, if the offense plays well, I think it gives them a lot of hope moving forward. Also, 2 games on Monday night, starting off at 7:30 is the Jaguars visiting Buffalo. Man, the Jaguars have been disappointing again to start the season, and Buffalo has looked pretty solid to start the season. So at Buffalo is a 5-point favorite. Who are you going with?
I'll go with Buffalo on that one. Again, Jacksonville needs to rebound, but this will be a tough place to do it. So I will go with Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree. I just think, and again, Buffalo's kind of like Dallas in the sense where they're good and they should win these kind of games, but every year they have one game that just doesn't make sense. I am going to go Buffalo in this game. Jaguars really need to start performing at a consistently good level because they got too much talent to be playing the way they played the last couple of years. The other game on Monday night is an 8:15 kickoff. The Washington Commanders traveling to Cincinnati. So just down the road from you, Dad. Cincinnati is 7.5-point favorites at home. But, Washington not scoring touchdowns, but they are scoring points. Who do you like, Washington or Cincinnati?
So let me ask, because I didn't check with you earlier. We're picking both these games in the pick 6?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go with Cincinnati. Again, I like Washington getting better this year, but Cincinnati needs to get a win. And again, they played fairly well the other night. So I'll go with the Bengals.
Yeah, I like what Washington's doing, but they're clearly not a good team yet. They got talent, and they can make some things interesting, but they're just not there just yet. So I'm going to go Cincinnati also. Cincinnati is in desperate need of a win. They are at home. They should win this game. They better win this game, or there's going to be panic in the streets of Cincinnati. But I'll go Cincinnati also. All right, so now we got to pick 2 games on the schedule. Do you have a game you're ready to pick, Dan?
Yes. And again, I've struggled a little bit with my picks, so I need to try to pick some I can win with here, but I'll go with Cleveland over the Giants. I think that hopefully that's safe.
Well, you just jinxed Cleveland. That's good to know. Yeah, I did not pick this game. I considered it, but I did not pick this game because honestly, I still just don't trust Cleveland. I don't know what in the world we're going to get from them. They did win this week. New York, again, they're in panic mode, plain and simple. Malik Neighbors has been so good. I feel for Brian Daboll, but they just are not good. If Carolina wasn't in the league, everybody would be mocking New York right now. So I think it's probably a smart pick, but I did not pick that game as part of the pick 6. I do have Cleveland winning that game, though. Also, Dad, I'm going with Baker Mayfield. All aboard the Baker train. They're hosting Denver this week. The Buccaneers have been one of the better teams in the league so far, and Baker Mayfield's been phenomenal. The Broncos, again, they're just not good. It's just that simple. And with it being in Tampa as well, I felt like that was a very safe pick. So I went Tampa Bay over Denver. Any thoughts on that game?
No, I mean, the Tampa Bay has played really well, and this being at home, we've talked. I mean, Denver has nothing to lose here, so we've talked about them being maybe kind of an interesting team. So maybe, maybe they can be a surprise. But Baker's played well, Tampa's played well, so I would think Tampa would win this.
All right. So who is your last game that you picked this week?
Well, I had 2 of them picked because I didn't understand on the last one, so I got to decide which one. But I'll go with it'll be a road team. But I think San Francisco will rebound, and the Rams are banged up, so I'm going to go with San Francisco over the Rams.
That's probably a safe pick as well, and that's who I picked to win that game. I did not pick them as part of my pick 6 because, Dad, there is a team that is the safest pick in all the land, and that's the Los Angeles Chargers. We know they're going undefeated this season. We've had this conversation. So maybe not undefeated, but I went with the Chargers over the Steelers because I've not really liked what I've seen from the Steelers. They're 2-0, but I don't like it. And I'm putting my mouth where my mouth is, if that makes any sense. I've stood on this. I think the Chargers are the better team. They are on the road. They are a 1.5-point underdog. But I'm going to go with the Chargers over the Steelers. And I know you hate Jim Harbaugh and think he's a horrendous coach who's only going to win 6 games this season. But what do you feel about the Steelers-Chargers games?
Actually, this was the other game that I had picked, and I had picked the Steelers, no doubt about it, at home. I think the Steelers have done well. I think they're going with Fields this week, and I think the Steelers will win this one in Pittsburgh, but we will see.
So do you want to change your San Francisco pick to the Steelers?
No, we'll leave that, but but that would have been the other game.
Yeah, not confident enough, apparently. All right, we'll see how that one shakes down. Let's get into the other games going on Sunday. Packers at Titans. Like I said, it looks like Jordan Love is set to play in this game, and from the videos I've seen, he looks just fine. Titans aren't very good. Will Levis had his coach talking openly about his bad decision-making this past week. It is at Tennessee. Tennessee is the favorite in this one, and I don't know if that will probably change if Jordan Love's announces the starter. But how you going, Packers and Titans?
Oh, I think the Packers will win this. Again, I think the defense will really be able to cut it loose this week. The first 2 weeks, they've played well with turnovers, but they were playing great mobile quarterbacks. That's not what they're playing this week. I think they'll come ready to play. And if Jordan Love plays, I think they'll have a lot of confidence. And even if not, even Malik plays, I think they'll be ready to play. So I think hopefully the Packers will get their second win this week.
Yeah, I picked the Packers just because I think Jordan Love's playing. Malik Willis is playing. Obviously, I have more confidence than I did last week, but I still, I don't know. That one worries me. I don't know that you can run the ball as good as you did last week again. So I still pick the Packers, though, in this one also. Texans at Vikings. If we looked at this before the season started, both of us would go easily, hands down, no doubt about it. Houston wins this game. Now, I'm still picking Houston, but I admit I had to think long and hard about this one now because the Vikings have played some pretty good football.
Yeah, I don't understand but the Vikings are doing well. But I do think Houston's a real thing still. So I'll go with Houston to be able to go into Minnesota and bring the Vikings back down to reality, hopefully.
Okay, Philadelphia at New Orleans. This is probably going to be the biggest game, especially of the early game slot here, that'll have people's attention. New Orleans, 2.5-point favorite at home. 2-0. Eagles are 1-1. I like this Eagles team, Dad, and I think they're very talented. But I bought into New Orleans, especially at home. I picked New Orleans in this game.
Yeah, I'll pick Philadelphia, but I won't be shocked, if New Orleans is the real thing here and wins this one at home. But I do think the Eagles have a very good team, and I'll go with the Eagles in this one.
Okay. Indianapolis is hosting Chicago. Indianapolis a -1 favorite. Man, Anthony Richardson's played so bad last week. Surely he's not going to play that bad again. And the Bears have been less than impressive. They've also been a little beat up as well. I picked Indianapolis in this game, Dad, but Colts need this one just as bad as Cincinnati and Jacksonville need theirs as well.
Yeah, I'll pick Indianapolis mainly because they're at home. Again, Richardson's going to have to play better there. Of course, they've got a good running back, and the Bears, in some ways have done better, but they haven't scored a lot. So, we will see here. I'll go with the Colts.
Carolina Panthers are traveling to Las Vegas, and they've got a new quarterback at the helm. Andy Dalton takes over for Carolina. The Raiders coming off a massive win. Do the Raiders maybe have a little bit of a hangover here and Carolina catches them? or is Carolina so bad it doesn't matter and the Raiders still get the win?
Yeah, I would say no hangover, and they're at home, so I would go with the Raiders.
All right. Yeah, I picked the Raiders too. I'm curious to see if the Panthers look drastically better with Andy Dalton, or a little better, or no better. We'll see how that one shakes down. A really intriguing game now, the Dolphins and the Seahawks. I have no interest in watching this game, but again, the Seahawks 2-0, the Dolphins 1-1, and without their starting quarterback, I don't really like Seattle much this year. Jackson Smith and Jigba had a great game last week, and I talked about him coming into the season, but I just can't imagine Skylar Thompson getting a win in Seattle. So I'm going to go Seattle over Miami, but man, I really don't like picking Seattle here.
Yeah, this one, I had to look at long and hard. So I'm going to go with Miami because I just think they're the better team. But being at Seattle, I definitely wouldn't pick this in my pick six or anything like that. Miami is going to start falling here, so we'll see if they can get this win.
Baltimore at Dallas. Baltimore's 0-2. Dallas is 1-1, coming off an ugly loss. Cowboys are at home, but Baltimore's the 1-point favorite. I think Baltimore's the better team, and maybe even more desperate. Hard to say that when you're talking about the Cowboys versus the Ravens, but I'm going to go Ravens in this one. I think both teams desperately need this one, though.
Yeah, I'll go with the Ravens also. Again, like I said, they really need this one. Of course, Dallas does too, but I think Baltimore's got a very solid team. Don't know what happened last week, so we'll see. But I think they'll be ready to play, and Harbaugh will have them ready there at Dallas. So,
all right. Detroit travels to Arizona. Detroit's a 3-point favorite on the road. I'm picking Arizona, Dad. I think Arizona's the team here, and I think they're good. I think they're getting better. And Detroit, again, I just feel like they're overhyped a bit this year. They should still win this game, but I'm going to go ahead and go Arizona.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Arizona because I think there's a lot of positive there going in the way they've played so far. And I'm surprised Detroit lost the game last week. And Arizona, I think, is primed maybe to win this one and being at home. Now, Detroit, they could, rebound and show everybody the dominant team that they're supposed to be. But there's a lot of good players there. Marvin Harrison, looked good last week. Murray's looked good if he can stay healthy. So I'll go with Arizona.
Yeah. I don't know, Dad. I try to, do the right thing as far as not paying too much attention to the teams and how I feel about the teams. But I feel like I should be picking Detroit here, and I just can't do it. I cannot do it. Now, I told you last week Baker was going to beat the Lions, but nonetheless, it is what it is. So on the season, I think last week, let's see, Dad, what were we last week? Were we 2-3? Both of us had 2 last week, or did we get 3 last week?
Yes, I think that was correct. Let's see.
I posted it on Twitter. And now I can't remember. Can't remember what it was. I think we got 3 last week. I think both of us got. We got the Monday night game, right?
I won 2 was all I won last week.
Oh, you're right. We both had the Eagles on Monday night, so we both only got two correct last week on the pick 6. Both of us are tied though on the Run Your Pool belly up pick'em contest that we got going on throughout the entire season. We are tied on that one, Dad. You and I are, at the very least, with 17 correct picks so far this season. Our leader is Greg Gibson II, who went undefeated in the first week, not so much in week number 2. So he's got 24 correct picks to get going here and to start the season. All right. Any other NFL thoughts you want to mention before we move on?
No, again, I always think it takes 2, 3, or 4 weeks for things to kind of shake loose, and I think that'll be the case. Maybe 4 to 6 weeks, because that way you've got teams playing road games and home games, playing good teams, playing teams that aren't as good, and you can get to see a little more. Plus injuries, you start to see where it goes there. Some of the guys that were injured to start the year will be back in a couple of weeks. So it really takes a while to get going, but it's been very surprising so far. Excited to watch the games this week.
Eli Manning, first ballot Hall of Famer or not?
Yeah, he will get in. I would not vote for him first ballot Hall of Fame, but okay. he will get in.
Yeah, the question was first ballot. It wasn't will he get in. Yeah, so him, Luke Kuechly, Terrell Suggs, Adam Vinatieri, and Marshall Yanda all on the first time eligible list this year for the Hall of Fame. 167 candidates currently on the ballot for that. I want to remind everybody about Righteous Felon Jerky. It's the best jerky around. And I'm not just saying that because they support us. It legitimately is the best jerky around. Try it for yourself. Find your new favorite flavor, righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code STOVE15, STOVE15. You're going to get 15% off your purchase. All right, Dad, let's head over to the college football ranks. And Tennessee now up to number 6 in the AP poll. Texas up to number 1. Georgia drops to number 2. Ohio State, the only non-SEC team in the top 7. And so Alabama, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Missouri, and then you got Miami, Oregon, and Penn State round out the top 10 in the AP poll as it currently sits. What do you make of Georgia and their squeaking by Kentucky this week?
Yeah, that was a surprise. But again, I mean, they've been on top a long time, and they always have some internal things going on. But I'm not sure how that game was that close. But I do think the polls were right to drop them a spot, definitely at least a spot with that. And Texas has looked very good.
Yeah, Texas has looked good for sure. I was impressed by South Carolina this week, Dad. They ended up losing to LSU by 3. But that's 2 weeks in a row now. They've had good showings in conference play. Any thoughts on South Carolina or even that game against LSU?
No, they've been a surprise, no doubt about it. And the SEC has really, really shown their strength again, no doubt about it. They're pretty deep all the way down the line. And but again, with adding these new teams in, it's going to be interesting, to see where you're going to have a few more losses here and there going down the line. So, but no, South Carolina definitely got my attention, and I was a little surprised. I thought they might win that game Saturday.
Notre Dame had an embarrassing loss in week 2. Well, they did the embarrassing in week 3, 66-7 over PU. That's right, Purdue. Dad, what do you feel about the Notre Dame showing on Saturday?
Well, I mean, you kind of expected that, I think, for them to come back, but they're not going to live. They're not going to live through that Northern Illinois loss very easily. So we'll see.
You expected them to dominate 66-7 this week over Purdue?
No, not 66-7, but I expect them to get the win by a couple touchdowns. That didn't surprise me.
Okay. Yeah, I was surprised by 66-7 at the very least. Let's see here. Kansas State handled Arizona Sunday night as well. Tennessee looked phenomenal again against Kent State. So we'll see how long they can keep that going. And it will matter this week because they're going to Oklahoma this week, Dad. They've already played NC State and took care of business there. Now they got the undefeated and going to try to baptize Oklahoma into the SEC. Josh Heupel's return. How do you feel about the game Saturday, Tennessee at Oklahoma?
Well, I think it'll be a great football game. I think it'll be close. Again, with OU being at home. But Tennessee just looks really, really good. They're really solid. They're well coached. I think Oklahoma's well coached too also. But, Tennessee has really played well. I think Tennessee should come out on top, but I think it'll be a close game, be a big game for either one of them to win won't be the end of the world, whoever loses it either way, because I think they're going to be, both in the hunt as it goes on. But I'm really, of course, excited to see it because Tennessee has looked so good, and we'll see if they can continue here at OU.
Yeah, they're 7-point favorites in that game as well. Your Illini still undefeated, and they've got a huge matchup Friday night, traveling to Nebraska. Nebraska's 7.5-point favorites here, and Nebraska's looked good and gotten the publicity. Illinois has not gotten the publicity, but Dad, again, they sit here at 3-0 Friday night against Nebraska on Fox, by the way, Friday night game. So that's exciting football on Friday. Also, I'm sure you're looking forward to the Illinois-Nebraska game.
Yeah, big game there for Illinois. Nebraska, of course, is ranked, and they're at home. So I think you would expect Nebraska to win, but Illinois can really make a statement here. This is the kind of game, if they can win one of these, then it's really going to help them down the line. And I have got to watch a couple Illinois games. They've got a good defense. They've got an experienced quarterback. I hope this is a really good football game, so we will see.
A couple other ranked games going on. USC travels to Michigan, Big Ten matchup. Wouldn't have thought I would have said that about USC in recent past, but USC is the favorite on the road. That's kind of wild as well, but Michigan has not really looked the part at this point. Utah travels to Oklahoma State. Utah, the favorite on the road there by 1.5 as well. And then, Dad, of course, the big matchup, Vanderbilt at Missouri. Everyone's going to tune in for that one on the SEC Network. I'm not a gambling man, Dad, but I'll take Vandy in the points. 20-point underdogs here, Vanderbilt. And I'll go under the 53.5 too. Why not? Vanderbilt, impressive to start the season. And Missouri, again, I think a little overhyped. I think they're good, but I think a little overhyped as well. So maybe watch for Vanderbilt at least making it scary for Missouri this week.
Yeah, we'll see. Missouri's got a good team. I watched them a little bit last week against Boston College. Vanderbilt has, started out better, but that you're right. That's a big line there as far as that is concerned. But this game's at Missouri, I believe. So we'll see if Missouri can handle this like they should. I don't know. It may be closer than that.
All right. Any other games you're excited for this weekend?
I'll keep an eye on NC State and Clemson. Just because see if Clemson can rebound here and get things going from there. Again, you mentioned USC, Michigan. That's a big game for Michigan. If USC goes up there and beats them, all of a sudden they're in trouble, and they don't have the easy schedule they had last year. So we will see. And I think that Utah-Oklahoma State game will be something to watch just to see how good Utah may be. So a lot of good college football this weekend, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'll be at EKU Saturday night. They're hosting Moorhead in-state game there. Looking forward to being back there at Roy Kidd Stadium this weekend. Fireworks coming on after the show as well. And, of course, Sunday night I'll be joined by Jonathan Duff, and we'll be breaking down that game and discussing it on the Sports Stove Local Hour Sunday night. I think around 8 o'clock is what we're going to do this week as well. All right, Dad, any other sports topics you want to discuss before we sign off?
No, again, a lot going on with football. Baseball is going to, come out and be real interesting here still the last week and a half. So that's good from there because I think, the top teams in baseball, the seeding will have a little bit to do with it, I believe. I know I've heard the Brewers people talking about they would really like to get the bye there. And so, we'll see even in the American League, how the rankings go. I think that will make for some interesting things with the playoffs. But no, the NFL, you never know what's going to happen. So it'd be fun to watch that this weekend, even starting tomorrow night with the, Patriot-Jet game. So we'll see how week 3 goes.
Definitely. Of course, the big sports news today, ESPN announced that their NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, known as Woj, announced his retirement from covering sports. And so no more Woj bombs coming out anymore as he takes over a position at St. Bonaventure, where he went to college and working there now, completely out of the sports media world. That's a big loss to the sports media world. He's always been an entertaining guy to kind of pay attention to, especially in the NBA, where I don't watch religiously. Enjoyed getting information from him, though, throughout the years for sure. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Follow us on social media at Sports Stove on Twitter and on Instagram. Get in your picks. I still have it pinned to my Twitter page where you can go and sign up and be a part of the competition all season long. Visit righteousfelon.com. Get yourself some jerky. Use the code STOVE15. You're going to get 15% off your purchase. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's edition of the Sports Stove Podcast. Until next time, we'll see you around the Sports Stove.